Not every hunt ends in victory for the lion. In the animal kingdom, even the smallest miscalculation can shift the outcome. The prey bursts forward, while another predator suddenly closes in. Pressure builds from both sides. Dust rises, and every movement becomes a test of survival. And just as the lion appears to be in control, the hunt unexpectedly turns. The lion is often seen as the king of the savanna, drawing strength from muscle, discipline, and coordinated group pressure. An adult male can weigh around 400 pounds, with a powerful mane that clearly signals its status. Yet even that level of dominance has never guaranteed a certain outcome. Across the harsh African savanna, every hunt carries significant risk. A single misstep or a brief misjudgment can force the lion to pull back to preserve its place in the cycle of survival. Dawn spreads a golden light across the Serengeti, revealing the presence of a towering figure. It is an adult giraffe, standing nearly 16 feet tall, calmly feeding on leaves high in the canopy. In the world of lions, this target represents both a valuable reward and a dangerous challenge. Prolonged hunger drives a solitary lioness to move forward with the focus of one that has nothing left to lose. The giraffe benefits from a wide field of vision due to its height advantage. However, when the giant lowers its long neck to drink, its view becomes limited and a critical vulnerability appears. In a sudden burst, the lioness accelerates like a flash, driving toward the lower body and securing a grip on the hind leg of her target. The towering animal reacts instantly, breaking into a powerful run and delivering forceful kicks that cut through the air to shake off the attacker. With one final, decisive movement, the giraffe throws the lioness off balance, sending her to the ground before sprinting into open terrain. It escapes successfully, leaving behind a trail of red dust. A lion hunting alone typically succeeds less than 30% of the time, and this setback forces a shift toward more attainable targets, such as vulnerable young. The encounter highlights the fragile edge of survival, where resilience is shaped through constant and demanding trials. The dry season turns the Serengeti into a land of dust and relentless challenges. Here, the oryx stands as the spear of the plains, with a compact, muscular body weighing around 350 pounds. It tolerates extreme heat and can travel for miles without slowing, supported by a unique survival mechanism. Most notably, its straight, blade-like horns, reaching nearly 4 feet in length, have forced many predators to abandon their attempts. Beneath a vast, cloudless sky, the silhouettes of two solitary lions suddenly emerge. After spotting their target, they lower their bodies, moving along the sparse grass while waiting for the right moment to accelerate. Within seconds, the distance collapses, and dust bursts upward under each powerful stride. The pace of the encounter intensifies as the hunters press forward with determination. However, the oryx, guided by experience and discipline, quickly forms a solid defensive barrier with its horns. The tense standoff comes to a close as the antelope maintains a safe distance and gradually retreats toward open ground. The lions are forced to stop, left with a costly lesson and a clear reminder of the risks that come with overconfidence. On the open plains, the animal that keeps lions most alert is not prey, but the spotted hyena. Far from being a weak scavenger, the hyena possesses a tightly structured matriarchal society and remarkable intelligence. Most notably, it delivers a powerful bite force of around 450 pounds per square inch, strong enough to overpower many rivals in close confrontations. It is a long-standing rival, ready to push back and shift the balance against the so-called ruler of the plains. When a young male lion accidentally crosses into the core of a den territory, the dominant female hyena immediately signals the clan to assemble. The group forms a defensive line, standing their ground to shield the entrance where their young are hidden. Sensing the inexperience of the intruder, they move forward together, closing the distance with coordinated pressure. Faced with this overwhelming unity, the lion is forced to turn away and retreat to avoid further risk. Elsewhere on the grassland, a clan of around 20 hyenas quickly surrounds a group of lionesses near a food source. They produce their distinctive calls, creating a tense atmosphere that unsettles their rivals. Their coordinated strategy unfolds as individuals take turns advancing to distract, while others move in from behind to disrupt. Under pressure from all directions, the lions gradually lose their advantage and withdraw, leaving the food behind. Here, dominance does not belong solely to the strongest, but to those who know how to act together at the right moment. Hippos are among the most formidable forces along Africa's rivers, defined by their massive bodies. When their enormous jaws open wide, they reveal tusks over 1 foot long, capable of overpowering any threat. Most of the time, these animals remain submerged, using the water to regulate body temperature. But when an unfamiliar presence enters their territory, they can respond with sudden, decisive bursts of action. A true survival test begins when a male lion wades too deeply into the water. At once, the dominant hippo submerges and approaches from the darker depths. The giant erupts to the surface with explosive force, opening its jaws to nearly 150 degrees in a powerful display. The water surges into heavy waves, leaving the intruder disoriented. With no clear direction, the lion is forced to use every ounce of strength to retreat toward the shore and regain safety. On land, a similarly intense moment unfolds when a hippo is cut off from its path back to the water. Facing a horizontal line of lions, it charges straight through the center at speeds of up to 20 miles per hour. The force of the advance causes the predators to scatter to either side. At the same time, it shakes off a bold individual attempting to hold position, creating space to withdraw safely. In this environment, control belongs to the one that masters its own domain. If the lion is celebrated as the ruler of the savanna, the Nile crocodile stands as the controller of the wetlands. Between these two parallel worlds, the shallow water's edge becomes a critical boundary, where a single misstep can instantly change the outcome. The ground is waterlogged, with mud sinking past half a step. A pride of lions attempts to surround a crocodile rested near the shore. Instead of retreating, the crocodile deliberately backs into the soft mud, where its weight, measured in hundreds of pounds, reduces the lion's ability to gain traction. Pressure builds as more lions move in. At the right moment, the crocodile swings its tail with force, disrupting the approach. At watering points, where lion prides with cubs are forced to cross the river, the balance shifts. Deeper waters trigger the ambush instincts of the wetland predator. With a bite force reaching around 3,700 pounds per square inch, the crocodile becomes a direct threat to younger or less experienced lions, moments that lionesses can only respond to with urgency and restraint. In the end, the crocodile not only protects its domain, but also helps shape the resilience of the next generation of lions. The encounter fades, and the natural balance quietly returns. Across the African savanna, African wild dogs are masters of strategy, with one of the highest hunting success rates among predators. The strength of these carnivores, weighing around 60 pounds, lies not in individual power, but in pack discipline and their ability to run long distances over many miles. Each success earned after extended pursuits becomes a reward for collective effort. Yet behind every moment of success, a looming shadow remains, especially from lions that attempt to take over the result. Against a larger rival, wild dogs rarely engage directly. Instead, they spread out, take turns applying pressure, and draw the lions away from the prize, forcing the intruder to expend energy in short bursts of pursuit. The objective is not to display strength, but to reduce competition before their hard-earned effort is lost. Even when raising their young, caution defines their behavior. Lions may approach den sites, so wild dog packs rarely remain in one place for long periods. On the savanna, survival is not determined by individual strength, but by those who use collective intelligence to manage risk and sustain the next generation. In the wild, there are moments when strength determines everything. The grizzly bear moves on its target with raw instinct and a sudden burst of force. It does not rely on complex tactics to take control of the encounter. Even other predators recognize their limits under that kind of pressure. In the natural world, who can hold their ground when a grizzly bear rises? When temperatures drop sharply and remain low, resources become the factor that shapes every movement. A single grizzly bear may travel for miles in search of an opportunity. Meanwhile, a pack of gray wolves operates as a unified unit, always ready to defend what they have secured. The point where these two strategies intersect is where tension begins to rise. To control space, the grizzly lowers its center of gravity and swings its forelimbs with force, creating distance around it. The wolf's formation briefly stretches, but it does not break. They quickly reposition, keeping a safe distance while moving fluidly from multiple directions. The pace increases as younger wolves appear at the front to draw attention, while more experienced individuals approach from concealed angles. The grizzly must constantly turn to manage the situation, pausing its access to the food source. Under that pressure, one wolf makes a slight mistake and is briefly overpowered. The dynamic shifts when the grizzly approaches the wolf's breeding area. This time, the pack forms a tight defensive circle, prioritizing the safety of the next generation. Faced with that steady coordination, the grizzly gradually reduces pressure and withdraws from the area. In the wild, balance does not come from direct conflict, but from the limits each side chooses not to cross. In mist-covered valleys, the moose appears as a living fortress of wetlands and cold forests. An adult can weigh over 1,000 pounds, strong enough to push through waterlogged brush. Yet, as the wet season sets in, muddy corridors can slow even this massive animal. A grizzly bear rarely engages directly with a healthy adult moose. Instead, it relies on its sense of smell to detect signs of weakness, following scent trails carried by the wind and scanning marshy areas where the moose's long strides become less efficient. Once again, The ability to read terrain becomes the grizzly's advantage. When a mother moose leads her calf through flooded lowlands, tension rises. The grizzly moves quietly behind, observing each step. The moose remains a formidable opponent. Over short distances, it can reach nearly 35 miles per hour, and its forward strikes are enough to make most predators cautious. But within confined terrain, a single mistimed step from a calf can open an opportunity. The encounter concludes quickly, where a small mistake shifts the outcome. The grizzly, rather than relying on dominance alone, becomes an opportunistic hunter. Across the brushy forest slopes of North America, deer are specialists in escape through light, agile movement. An adult, weighing around 150 pounds, is flexible enough to weave through tree trunks, change direction sharply, and disappear within a few strides. For a grizzly bear, however, the hunt does not begin with speed, but with understanding the movement patterns of its target. In the early morning, as deer leave the forest edge to feed on fresh grass, the grizzly moves in parallel along shorter cut-through paths. Recognizing the disadvantage in long-distance chases, it avoids direct pursuit and instead sets up at narrow turns. This element of surprise creates a brief disruption, causing one deer to separate from the group and move off on instinct. As the deer crosses uneven ground with built-up momentum, the grizzly suddenly accelerates over a short distance to gain positional advantage. The encounter concludes quickly, and the rhythm of the forest gradually returns to its original calm. In the wild, the loss of one individual often becomes a transfer of energy that sustains the cycles of life that follow. The grizzly bear stands as a symbol of strength in the deep forests of North America. Weighing around 700 pounds, its thick fur helps retain heat in harsh cold conditions. Long claws, a keen sense of smell, and powerful shoulder muscles allow it to adapt across diverse terrain. It can dig, swim long distances, and accelerate quickly over short bursts. In the wild, the grizzly bear not only holds its territory, but also helps maintain the balance of the ecosystem. Each year, when the rivers of Alaska and British Columbia turn silver with returning salmon, the rhythm of grizzly bears begins to shift. River corridors transform into active feeding grounds, pushing grizzlies to maximize every source of energy in preparation for a demanding hibernation period. Early in the season, fish are still scarce. The bear moves along the water's edge, sensing shallow sections, reading surface currents, and selecting positions that require minimal effort. It remains still, waiting for the precise moment when a fish slows near exposed rocks before making a controlled, accurate move. The pace rises in mid-season as the river surface churns with millions of migrating fins. The grizzly shifts to rapid, repeated bursts, securing dense, energy-rich fish in mid-air to build a protective fat layer that can reach up to 4 inches beneath the skin. By late season, as the fish become less abundant, the bear leaves the riverbanks and returns to deeper forest. The remaining salmon continue to support birds, soil, and plant roots. In the wild, a valuable energy source rarely belongs to just one species. In the wild forests of North America, bears emerge as a symbol of untamed frontiers. In their world, survival is not only about territory or food sources, but also about balance between strength and limits, where only the most resilient can continue forward. Along a shallow summer stream, prime fishing spots for salmon become the center of tension. A dominant male, weighing close to 800 pounds, establishes presence by standing tall and maintaining control of the space. When a younger individual approaches, direct pressure rises quickly through powerful, controlled movements, prompting the more cautious rival to withdraw. In spring, the focus shifts to protecting the next generation. When a male approaches an area with cubs, a solitary mother responds with full intensity to shield them. Despite the difference in size, she holds her ground, moving decisively from multiple angles to disrupt the advance and redirect the intruder's path. Pressure reaches its peak during the mating season when 2 males stand upright to display their size. They close the distance, relying on a bite force of around 1,200 pounds per square inch to manage space and re-establish order. After several brief exchanges, the weaker individual gradually retreats, yielding control of the core area. Order is quickly restored. Access to vital energy resources belongs to the one that can hold position the longest. Elk stand as a proud symbol of the open woodlands of North America. Their massive antlers, stretching over 5 feet wide, serve not only as a sign of dominance, but also as a natural shield against direct pressure. Weighing around 700 pounds, with powerful and flexible leg muscles, they move steadily across pine forests and cold streams. Within this ecosystem, elk help shape the rhythm of movement across the land. A clear threat emerges in late spring when the grizzly bear begins to survey areas where elk give birth. With an exceptionally keen sense of smell, it follows the scent of newborn calves, still relying on low grass for cover. This is the most vulnerable stage in the elk's life cycle. When the distance closes, the grizzly accelerates in short bursts, applying pressure to separate a calf from the protective formation. A slight misstep is enough for a young individual to become isolated, and the advantage quickly shifts. At peak grass season, adult elk can reach speeds of up to 45 miles per hour. Facing this advantage, the grizzly does not rely on long pursuits. Instead, it guides its target toward slippery stream banks or fast-moving water, areas that reduce balance and control. Here, claws measuring about 4 inches and strong mobility in water allow the bear to maintain steady pressure. The grizzly prioritizes older or slower individuals to conserve energy. A single large meal can provide over 100,000 calories, enough to sustain it for several days, and it is often carefully covered for later use. In the wild, the advantage belongs to those that can read the terrain and choose the right moment. The tension settles, returning a quiet stillness to the wild landscape. The encounter comes to a close, yet its presence continues to linger. In nature, every advantage can disappear in a single moment. The lion moves on, with no option but to adapt. If you want to follow more stories like this, you can like and subscribe.